Hi Leo, and welcome to your reading for February 2019. My name is Melanie. Welcome. This is a general reading, so it may not apply to everyone. I encourage you to take what you like and leave the rest. That's totally fine. Today I'm using two different sets of cards. The main deck I use is the Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition set, of which you can see 5 cards there. The second deck I use more like oracle cards, which of course there's one card laid out there. That's from the Dreamtime Reading Cards deck. The Dreamtime is the Aboriginal Australian spiritual belief system. These are absolutely beautiful cards. So I have a card there representing the overall theme for the month of February. And I'm not sure what's going on this month because I've had a few problems trying to record this particular reading, which is quite interesting. I'm a Leo myself, so I'm like, what message is coming through here? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. So the 5 cards that we have there, of the first one of those 5 being about past energies that may have been around that are a factor in the energies of this month in February. So the past, you have the Judgment card. Moving into February 2019 for Leos, the Knave, otherwise known as the Page of Swords card. Then possible obstacles that may show up this month for Leos, the Knave or the Page of Cups, representing possible helpful tools, things that may be of use for February, for Leos in February, 4 of Cups. And finally, representing the outcome for February for Leos, the Chariot card. And the overall theme card that came out with the Dreamtime Reading Cards is the card called Bushfire, which means rebirth. And I'll be reading from the booklet about that towards the end of the reading. So, having just gone through this reading and then had a problem with the recording, as I went through it, I really started to see a big theme of rebirth, of coming to the end of something, rising from the ashes. This is the Judgment card. Having a new energy, a youthful new exuberance about your life right now in the month of February, and then finding that you really end up taking off with that and going out into the world. So there's a lot of kind of youthful energy, but also a little bit of caution that comes along with that. You know, somebody who is reborn may just want to absolutely celebrate and tear ass into the world, but you need to pace yourself and you need to sort of balance that up with some wisdom, some self-reflection and some maturity in thinking. Anyway, so I'll go through each card and we'll see if that makes sense. So the first card there, representing the past energy, something that you may have been dealing with, and that's the Judgment card. So this is a card of rebirth, of renewal, of judgment, of being judged, you know, of we all are judged at the end, you know, nothing is hidden on Judgment Day and we all end up in the same place. This is a card of rejuvenation, of you know, awakening of the dead. In the card there's actually images of people rising from their graves, so you know, rising from the ashes like a phoenix potentially. It's a card, but also of sudden realizations, inner callings, a wake-up call, your actions perhaps coming to light. Nothing is hidden anymore from within or externally. This card obviously can also be about legal and court issues and judgments being made on that. I don't know if you guys have been involved in anything like that, but essentially now there has been a cathartic sort of climax and a resolution of something, and there's kind of this call to new life, of rising from the old through process of rehabilitation and creation, and then encouragement of something new. So whatever that was that has created this kind of new version of you perhaps, or coming through a really hard battle, internally or externally, this energy is now coming through in the month of February. So speaking of February, the card that showed up for you guys is the Knave of Swords. So the Knave is also the page, and pages are pretty young energy, children and adolescent kind of energy. The court cards could actually be people, so they could actually this could represent a person in your life, a young teenager or a child who is an air sign, so that would be Gemini, Libra or Aquarius, or it could just be the energies of this card being very present this month in February for Leos. So pages are, like I said, young, and they're like students, they're learners, they're apprentices, you know, they haven't mastered things yet, they don't have experience in things, they've got lots of curiosity, lots of imagination, lots of ideas, want to get out there into the world, they're ambitious, they're hopeful, they're like, the world is my oyster, you know, kind of thing. There's such a newness and an eagerness and a keenness to get out there and start developing themselves as a person. So keep that in mind for both of the Knave cards here, the Knave of Swords and the Knave of Cups. The Knave of Swords, though, in terms of February, this is a very mentally restless card. This is a very curious, energetic, talkative kind of space to be in. This is a young person, as you see there, with a sword, so, you know, be cautious of that kind of exuberance that comes along. There is kind of a fearlessness and a courage, but you also need to just, you know, have a bit of tact. And that shows up too right at the end with the Chariot card there, and I'll talk about that a bit later. So this, you know, pages come straight after tens, and tens are the end of a cycle. And this is Page of Swords, so if we think about Ten of Swords, that's a very harsh card of feeling absolutely stabbed in the back, dead, killed, something in your life has died, something in you has died, but then there's also this new light and new dawning, and then here we see this really beautiful, youthful, new, free energy coming into play here. You could be having a lot of this kind of young, playful energy coming through this month, and you may, you know, want to. This card sometimes too can be the Knave of Swords could be a bit of a spy, you know, bit of an observer, and be about the unexpected and unseen and unknown things, and needing to act with a little bit of stealth and vigilance. There's also potential to be a bit outspoken. You know how young people, like, I know everything, especially teenagers. But just be careful how you handle that. But this is, you know, a positive card about making positive changes in your life that are going to bring rewards, even though you may be a bit nervous and a bit hesitant. You know, there's a lot of fantastic, curious young energy here that wants to go out and investigate, to make an impression, to transform, to begin a new kind of path, despite being a bit worried sometimes about how that's going to go, and sort of wielding that sword around, and when you need to just calm that energy down a little bit. So what might get in the way this month? And that was the Knave of Cups card that came up. So again, it's like, even though you're stepping out into the world with this kind of free abandon and this beautiful, youthful energy, which is so courageous and fearless and alert, be careful that doesn't overwhelm you with this kind of inner child coming forth, with this kind of innocence. The Knave of Cups could also, again, be a person in your life, a young person who's a water sign this time, so that would be Scorpio, Cancer or Pisces, but probably is more like the energy of this card. Again, youthful, playful. This is a card of emotions, so being more in touch with them, emotionally speaking, but perhaps being a little bit too overrun by emotions, as young people sometimes can be, especially if they're really hormonal, adolescents. So perhaps I think just to be mindful of where your emotions are at this month, they may sort of get in the way, and you may be letting the inner child in you run the show rather than really listening to all parts of you, the mature aspects as well as this new youthful kind of energy. You know, maybe you'll be working with young people potentially as well this month, and you sort of might be get swept away in that. This card can be about study and reflection and meditation as well, and needing not forgetting to meditate and take some time out for that, which I think requires some mature, calm ability to restrain oneself. This card too is also about messages, and messages potentially coming from the universe, which is quite interesting, because right next to that card is a Four of Cups card, which can also represent messages or offers coming in, but actually not seeing that offer, being fixated on being a bit preoccupied perhaps with what's immediately in front of you and not sort of lifting your head and looking up around you enough, even though this card is in the position of possible helpful tools. And yet sometimes this card can be a bit meh, where you're either being a bit stubborn, a bit apathetic, being a bit closed off to something. Can also be about resisting temptation. Maybe this wonderful offer has come in, but you're like, nope, I need to just calm the farm and not grab that like a child would just grab that lolly. You may be helpful to actually just step back and really reflect, but not overly reflect on what it is that you're either being offered or what you are not quite seeing. You may be feeling a bit frustrated at times and a bit preoccupied, and not seeing all the good things around you. So this card in the helpful position place is saying to be grateful, to lift your head up and look at actually what you have got around you and what you have accomplished. See the offer on the table. Consider that, I think. Get out of your own head. Get out of that kind of lack mentality and a bit of woe is me. And you'll do much better, you know, if you practice some gratitude, practice some reflection, broaden your perspective, you know, calm down that imagination that may be going like crazy. Identify where you are dissatisfied or what's going wrong in your life and do something about that. Work out what is going to bring me contentment and satisfaction. Meditate on that, reflect on that, you know, to get you out of that place. So I think it's actually a bit of a warning, you know, and I guess that's helpful, you know, in that we just need to be mindful of these things. Am I a bit stuck in my head, a bit stuck in my feelings, a bit stuck? What do I need to do to move out of that? But whatever you do, Leo, you will do it, because the outcome card is the Chariot card, and boy, that's a card of movement. That's a card of drive. You know, I think again, this is that card which I mentioned earlier, links into those two pages, because this is quite a young fellow on a chariot with horses galloping ahead. So you may have this strong urge to like head towards victory, for conquest, you know, to literally drive perhaps, to explore the world, to expand things in your life, with great ambition, with also great discipline. This is an energy that's very strong and very driven, you know, and about going places. But remember, you just need to balance up that need for speed and not tiring yourself out too much, and on the flip side, not going so slowly that progress is almost at a standstill, which potentially may happen. Or there's that warning there of like, don't sit in a reflective space or sit stuck in your own head too long, because there's places you want to go and you need to persevere with that, and I think you will. The Chariot card can also indicate the receiving of life lessons, and it, you know, can get a little bit bumpy at times, but ultimately that's the way we learn in life, you know. And I think those 2-page cards there are about learning new things as well, as children and adolescents do. They go to school, but they also learn about the world. They learn about their family, they learn about friends, they learn about relationships, they learn about everything. Everything is new. And so I think, you know, the outcome for this month is forward moving energy, sometimes against overwhelming odds, you know, the work of, you know, the will, overcoming things, overcoming ordeals and obstacles, and finding a bit of balance in the need to go rushing ahead, burning yourself out, but also overcoming the odds and a bit of struggle that's going to ultimately result in some victory of sorts. And finally, I'm just going to read now from the booklet. This one here, Connecting with the Ancient Spirit and Nature of Australia. Beautiful cards here. And of course, the card that came out for Leos in February was the bushfire card representing rebirth. So that's the overall theme for this month, which I actually think fits really well with the Judgment card, and then these cards of youthful energy coming through. So bushfire, rebirth. Traditionally, Aboriginal Australians used fire as a tool for managing their country. They often travelled around their country based on where food was available during a season. When they were finished in the area, it was often set ablaze. This was for a number of reasons. First, a lot of native eucalyptus trees need fire to germinate their seeds. Second, the clearing of the undergrowth creates new growth and ensures clear, fresh grounds for wallabies and kangaroos to graze on. This is how Aboriginal Australians managed the land they lived on for thousands of years. I think this is really interesting. We're thinking rising from the ashes in that Judgment card. This is kind of what this is talking about now. So when you draw the bushfire card, it is a time of powerful cleansing. The apparent devastation that occurs is also very much needed and is symbolic of your own cycles of life and death. You are being given the chance. I nearly said second chance. That's a bit of a Freudian slip. You are being given the chance to start your own cleansing fire and to send it in the direction it is most needed. Direction, I think that's the Chariot card there. Boy, does he have direction. Allow it to burn the areas of your life you need to let go of, those which have become unmanageable and no longer offer you inspiration and growth. This card symbolises life cycles, new birth and rejuvenation. The eucalyptus or gum trees are like the phoenix. They rise from the ashes with spectacular colour and grace as you will. Allow that which is no longer needed to be cleansed away so you can fill your world with what is fresh and green and fertile. I kid you not, these are the cards that come out. I shuffle, and they come out like this. It's phenomenal. It's powerful. It's spooky. It's miraculous, So, rebirth month, guys. Just keep in check with inner child wanting to run rampant now because it's like free of something, or it's been set free of something, or it's kind of now wanting to go out into the world. Just make sure you have a good perspective about that you don't ignore any opportunities that come this way, but also delay gratification and resist temptation if you need to, and then balance up the energies at the end there with that forward moving, expansive desire to beat the odds against the competition and go on a bit of a conquest, and you will, and there will be victory. Just do what you need to pace yourself and be clever about it, shall we say, mature about it. Okay, so Leos, thank you so much for watching and listening. I'm really grateful that you've given it some time and attention. If it resonates, I'd love to hear about that. If not, that's totally fine. Like I said, this is a general reading. Check back in a month, or check your moon sign or your rising sign, or any of the other incredible readers available on YouTube. Take care.